Hello, hello, welcome. Good evening, good evening. Welcome to a new year. Welcome to a new show. Welcome to a new guest. Welcome to new folks on the timeline. If it's your first time on the show, welcome to you. Those of you who've been coming back for more because you love it, I want to say welcome to you as well. And it's so good to see you guys back here. It is 2025. This is my very first Jael Joseph live show in 2025. And I feel like we're starting off the year on a good note. We're starting off the year on a great note, right? Every single time when the year rolls around, we do all of these, people start back working out, or people do like affirmations. They do their yearly planner. Some folks, they go through different processes where they say, okay, I'm going to go to a therapist, or I'm going to start the gym, or I'm going to take up a new project. It's the start of the year. And I always believe in getting your mind right, getting your body right, getting your spirit right at the start of the year, which is one of the things. I don't know about you, but I sometimes I've rang off the new year, partying, but I've always felt so much better when I'm not partying at the start of the year. Like, I always feel so much more refined and alive and rejuvenated, and all of that good stuff. So if you're starting off the new year with us, and you're starting off with a bang, and I'm so excited to have my first guest for the year, who's coming on with me. Lizra is someone that I've known since I was a child. We've known each other for quite some time, and I'll tell you a little bit more about what we're going to be doing here this evening. So I want to welcome folks who are logging on Facebook. Want to say good evening to you and welcome to the show. Those of you who are on LinkedIn, good evening to you. Those of you on YouTube, good evening. I see a few of you on YouTube. Thank you very much for joining, the YouTube folks. Those of you who are logging on your phones, wherever you're locked in, I want to say special good evening to you and happy new year, and wishing you all a prosperous, healthy, wealthy, and blessed 2025. My name is Jael Joseph, and this is the Jael Joseph live show. And like I said before, we're kind of starting off the year with a bang. We're going to be talking the progressive mind. We're going to be talking about progressism. I hope I'm not getting tongue tied in the isms. We're going to be talking about, things to kind of get your mind right, and your body and your spirit. But I feel like we need to kind of, roll back a few chapters. I've known Lizra, like I mentioned at the start, since we were children. Our parents, our moms, were nurses together around the same time. I remember, seeing her, as a child growing up. And I believe her aunt and my mom were very close. So she was always around in my circle, some way, somehow. And we grew up, and we became adults. We end up in being directors on a board of an organization that is the GEMS Foundation. And I've loved to see how Lizra has progressed. She's one of those go-getters, and she's so silent but deadly. Like, she doesn't say much, but I've always like looked at her as that's one that you don't want to play with, because she got the brains, and she's silent. She not like me to have loud mouth. She's silent and deadly, and she's done so many amazing things. She was at one point, she was with the Dominica industry, as the Dominica Association of Industry and Commerce, as the executive director. Now she's with, I believe it's a UN agency, but she could tell us if she wants to. I believe she's on some other thing, but it's on original tip. She's doing the most, and still have time to come back and give back, whether it is in information, whether it is educating yourself, whether it is preparing yourself, whether it is for progress like her business entails. We're gonna talk a little bit about that. I want to encourage you guys to share the live. We're not starting off the year feeling no old kind of way. We're starting off the year on a bang. Share the live, hit the share button, tag somebody. If you have a friend, probably you're outside of Dominica, but you have friends in Dominica that you think would be able to benefit from this. I mean, there's going to be a discussion, but it's also an event that is built around this discussion. So we're going to be talking about building champions at Progressism. Liz, right? I'm going to that progressism is, I have to do it with force. If I try and do it soft, it becomes racism, right? So we're going to be talking about that. I'm going to be getting to know a little bit more about the event, and I want to welcome all of you. Tag your friends, tag somebody. Don't be selfish. Let somebody. I like to tell people, let another person in on the information that you're about to receive. Those of you who will be coming back and watching these after, I want to encourage you to tag a friend, tag a loved one, and hopefully you can learn something really amazing this evening. So I don't want to wait any longer. I want to bring her on right now. I want to say special good evening to, I see Sandra Norris is on the live. Good evening to you, Sandra. Sandra, I hope you shared the live. I see Claudia. Hope you shared the live. Thank you very much. I see Yanita, Lucien, share the live. Thank you very much, guys, for coming on and sharing the live and sharing with someone. Even if you share it on Facebook, you share it on WhatsApp, you let somebody in on the conversation. So let's get the show on the road. I want to welcome for the very first time to my show, Miss Liza Fabien. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me, Jael.
How are
And good
you?
evening to all your listeners and
How are you
viewers.
today?
I'm doing great. It's a new year. It's an
Yeah.
exciting time. I mean, planning for any events have, different waves. It comes in different waves, but I'm doing great. I'm optimistic.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. I want to start off a little bit by getting to a little bit about you. Getting to know a little bit about you and your journey to progressism. How did that come about? I know I mentioned that you work with the U, and I hope I wasn't incorrect, but you can kind of tell us a little bit about who you are, so folks, because some folks might be like, but who's this girl? Who's this girl? Who for her? Where's she from? You know? So tell folks a little bit about who you are, what you do, and then we could start the discussion.
Well, thank you very much. I am Liza Fabien from the community of Benz. I'm a person who love to connect with people and be inspired. From the time I was younger, I mean, we have a big family of cousins. My personal family is about like, 4 or 5 of us growing up at different stages of time. But whenever we met together, even as cousins, as families, like it always feels important. I've spent time in different countries through education, of course, going to Trinidad, Jamaica, China, and the US. And being there, that has, it's like we call it osmosis. Through the different experiences, it helped to shape who I am. I also believe, and I must give credit to my parents, I know they must be listening right now, that every morning we would have personal, like family devotion, and would go through a process of what did you learn? How can you empower yourself for the day? And that every single morning has inspired me to be a better version of myself. And through the collective experiences, even working with the chamber, working with the coalition of services, now I work with the OAS, but this started before working with the OAS. I found it very inspiring to connect with others, to learn from others, to share with others, because by ourselves, we are just ourselves, but together we can be much better. My grandmother, who is a mother of 12 children, she
Wow.
was very wise and she said, iron sharpeneth iron. And that is ingrained in us that we cannot do it by ourselves. But creating a community where people can sharpen other people, we can become better individuals, not just for ourselves, but for our communities that we live in. For me in Benz, how can I make Benz better? For me in Dominica, how can I make Dominica better? And to help inspire other Dominicans that there's a lot to complain about in Dominica. Every time we go on social media, I'm sure you will see something to complain about. But what can we do to make the place better? What can we do to make our networks better? And if
Mhm.
we are able to inspire our friends, and not just our friends, but the people who are around us, I believe our experience in Dominica can be better, and we will have a better experience in life generally and contribute better to the world. So, in short, I think that's a bit about me and what has inspired me collectively to think about progressism, to think about how we can make our communities, our life, our families, and everyone around us just better.
Wow, that was a mouthful, and a very inspirational mouthful, if I do say so myself. You definitely, it was very wholesome, what you shared.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes again to your upbringing, and how you view family, and how you speak. So I'm already inspired. We just started and I'm already inspired. um I want to get a sense of, why did you decide? I mean, you did speak about iron sharpening iron, which is something that you learned from your grandmother, or even, just knowing that you have to pull one person up in order, like, it's better to pull somebody up with you when you're going up, rather than just be greedy and just go up by yourself.
Exactly.
What really inspired you to start? Because you could have just done this within your network, and within your, like you say, you have a lot of cousins within your friend group, even within your church network. What inspired you to want to start the Progressive Mind, and why did you pick the Progressive Mind? Like, why a Progressive Mind?
Okay. So it started through, I would say, through different ways. One, when I in 2012, I went to China to do my MBA, and I did the International Masters of Business Administration. So in all, I want to have a global business that inspires people, that connects people. That's what I'm passionate about, connecting people. And I'm happy when I see, two people within my friends network, like one of my cousins went to Kenya, and I got to connect my cousin with a friend that I met in India for the first time. And then they got to have such a great experience. So this collective experience has inspired me. They've inspired me to do this. But then I started what they call the Progressive Mind Planner. So the Progressive Mind is a company that I'm still developing more, because of course there's so much more room for growth, but it's focused on connecting people, inspiring people, helping them to be a better person. And first, it starts in the mind. Everything we do, it really starts in the mind. And if we're able to not just, control and bottle down our mind, but build up our mind in such a way that it can flourish to the best that it possibly can be, whether through connections, whether through planning. That's why the Progressive Mind Planner, whether through any way possible. I'm still open to new ways, and I love innovation. So my thing was, how can we innovate? How can I innovate in something in a way that's different? What can I do that's different that no one else is doing in Dominica, that can make an impact in the community? And that's how it came about, because being progressive means that we want to be better, and starting in the mind. I mean, I tried a way to combine them. And if you could see, like, the P is like a brain, which is like a mind, and it's extended, which means that, it's aiming for higher. So I
Mhm.
think that's where the idea started. And of course, building on it every single bit. First working of the planner, and then looking at an event that could bring people together. So I did a launch of the event online, because that was during COVID time. Started in 2020 actually,
Wow.
because of at the end of 2020 with COVID, and then figured out that, hey, you know what, this needs to be in person. We need to get out of the COVID, everybody social distancing, that sort of mentality, and how can we actually network and have a great time? I think it also stemmed from my experience being in China, and I had to get out of my comfort zone. Some people say, at least there's a going. You say I'm shy, which sometimes, that can be. But being in China, I was forced to get out of my comfort zone, and we had to network with people that we had no idea who they were. They were managers of companies across the world, and having to get in, like, meet with one and start a conversation, and then get to move to a next one, learning how to network and connect with people. And I thought, what better way than to bring that experience to Dominica? bring it to our people that we can do this, because in Dominica, this was a gap. We lack events where professionals, where people can come together, learn more about each other, but inspire other people to be the better version of themselves.
Wow. So essentially, Lizra, this entity, is kind of, it's around personal development and mindset, right? And I want to talk to you, or I want to ask you a little bit about, what would you say are some of the key habits, or probably not key habits, or probably the struggles that people have with self-doubt and fear of failure. How can they overcome these barriers, because progression seems like, oh, you're trying to, but even imposter syndrome, we might say, that is something that happens when people go in other countries, but it can happen right amongst your peers, people that and you feel like, I don't know if I feel confident enough to stand up. I mean, I've gone up to people to record them, and they're like, no, I don't want to be on camera. And these are people that are very, that I feel can speak very well, like, that can educate, and they get so fearful instantly of being on camera. I mean, it could be self-confidence issues, but at the same time, it's like, why what exactly is it that really causes us to struggle with self-doubt and even fear of what can possibly be failure?
So, two things instantly come to mind. One, have you ever seen a child fall in front of you and everybody's like, oh my gosh, oh, get up, get up. Oh my gosh. Like, they're ready to make the child all fearful. And I think being from the time we were young and everyone is afraid of us falling, that has transferred into us as adults being afraid to fall and make mistakes. Everybody looks at falling as a big issue, but falling is part of life. None of us want to fall. None of us want to fall down and we expose, and even not in a literal sense, but in a professional sense as well. Nobody wants to fall. But that's part of life, that with progress, it's not always up and up. It's sometimes a rocky road. It's sometimes going up, but sometimes really hitting our butt down on the ground. And
Mhm.
it's something that we really don't expect and we don't want. But sometimes it happens. I mean, every day in our lives, like even I felt like even today I had a situation where I felt I fell down. But it's always the fact that we need to encourage others to go up. Um, so this is one of the ways I feel that persons feel that way. Another thing is we're very critical of each other. So I think as a culture, we are critical of each other. How many times have you visited a family or friend, or you come from overseas and they're like, oh my gosh, and the first thing they comment about, maybe it's your
You
weight,
get
maybe
fat.
something else, and it's very critical. And
Mhm.
in my personal experience, I have gone through that. I had a freshman 15 when I went to Trinidad for school, and coming back is like the way how people respond and they react. It took some time to be able to deal with some of the pressures of how persons are so critical, not just how we look of or weight or of different parts of us, but of every single part of ourselves.
Even our achievements, like people
Yeah.
can be like, it's almost like you didn't get enough, like you didn't do enough, you need to do more, you
Yep.
you are told, oh, you don't have this, you cannot do. And I mean, I can speak for myself too. God,
Mhm.
I have an entire scroll, I can go through, and people will sometimes tell you, oh, you need to go to school and get that, oh, you don't go to school for that,
Mhm.
and then you feel almost like, well, probably I cannot do it because I didn't go to school for it, or probably I cannot do it because I wasn't trained in it, and that's not always the case. Sometimes you just naturally have a knack for some things, and but because people can be so critical, you feel almost like I'm unable to do this, or I shouldn't do this, or this is not in my lane, I need to get
Mhm.
back in my lane, I need to
And
stick to
not good enough. Yep.
right. That is so valid what you say. And obviously we know with progress and success, obviously there are setbacks. You talk about the road bumps and the incline. It might be a roller coaster ride. It might be a smooth ride. How do we encourage ourselves, or how do you encourage people to even stay resilient? And I hate that word resilient, but we use it. It's I think it's changed so many meanings over the years.
Yeah.
How do you encourage people to keep pushing forward, like to keep pressing on and not letting those criticisms really, like, because someone can criticize you and it can really break your spirit, eh? It
Yeah.
can really like quasi all your hopes and dreams,
Yeah.
right? um how do how do we encourage ourselves? I want to ask you, how do you encourage people? How do we encourage ourselves?
So I must say, and I must make a disclaimer. My response is not a one size fit all, and it may be different for different folks, right? But one of the ways is really getting down to like who we are, understanding who we are as individuals, and for me, I believe in God. I believe that God has created me and He have a purpose for me. And for me, it's not just being religious and saying, I'm doing this because it's religious, but it's connecting to God and believing in God and ensuring that I understand that God is my center, like, the center. Let's call it the locus of control, your locus of control, or I think I'm saying the wrong term, but those who understand the psychology part of it, it's like what really is our rudder. If we have a boat, there's a rudder, and wherever it's pointed, that's where the boat goes. So for me in life, and what I'm encouraging persons is really understand, have a strong foundation of who we are. And if we have a strong foundation, things can shake, we can rock, things will happen. Whether we lose our job, whether relationships fail, whether different things happen, but at least we'll have something that points us in that direction, hopefully towards God who guides us through everything. But even with this, it's also about affirmations. I believe in the Bible have promises that we can repeat and we can encourage ourselves, but also affirmations where they're saying, I am brave. Sharing with young girls, little girls, and even boys, I am brave, I'm strong, I'm courageous, I am worthy, I am
Beautiful.
valuable, I am beautiful. And if we
Mm.
say these things and we consistently say these things and we believe it, and even if we don't believe it, tell it to ourselves often enough that we believe it, and then these help us to strengthen ourselves. Of course, these words are not in themselves the most, all in all, whatever it is, but these can help us if we are weak, if we're struggling, if we lack self-esteem in some ways. And I'm speaking to different people because everyone is different and we go through different experiences. But I hope that something from this can encourage someone. If you want to use scripture, there are promises in the Bible that you want to encourage yourself, use them and repeat them and empower yourselves and empower your family, your friends, your children. And if you want to use affirmations, they're short and they're powerful. Even at the back of the Progressive Mind Planner, have a dose of motivation, and there are like 32 of them that persons can use to say every day to encourage themselves. I think this is powerful in helping us to be encouraged.
Wow, well, that's beautiful, and I love the way you put it. In terms of, you look at it from a holistic perspective. So it's not just if you're religious, but also if you're spiritual, or if you just want to certain things in life. And the other day I was talking to somebody and I saw a video. Somebody shared a video about manifesting certain things, and people have no clue. Like, a lot of the things that I've achieved is through manifestation. Like, I've said, this is what I want for my life. This one, and the other day I was saying to somebody, when you're thinking about the start of the year, even as a unit, you should come together in your family, in your home, in your relationship, and start putting things down together that you're going to achieve for the year, and really work to that, manifesting that this is what you want for your family, this is what you want for your life, this is what you want. Because oftentimes I've seen it happen where I literally like speak into the universe that this is what I want. And even though sometimes it seems like as if you cannot get it, it's unattainable, because it might be there might be financial setbacks, there might be even like opportunities that you missed out on. And there's this saying, opportunities lost cannot be regained. So you think to yourself, oh my god, like, if opportunities lost cannot be regained, but I stick, like, you feel like you're in a rut. but just really speaking it into the universe, speaking it into the atmosphere. Writing it on your mirror. Putting little post-its different places where you brush your teeth.
Good girl, that's what I've done too. Stick a whole heap of post-it on my on my mirror, and I can share with you a few of them if you're interested. What I
Of
put and
course.
what I put. Okay, so I placed like I think it was like 7 years ago or something like this. I placed some post-its like for each year for the next 5 years or so, which countries I want to visit. I haven't gone to all of them, but I just completed two that I've had 7 years ago that I wanted to do. I got to go to
Wow.
Peru and I got to go to Bolivia. There's some other places that I wanted to go to. I haven't gone towards yet, but I believe that God will create the opportunities and they will happen. Another simple thing, it seemed trivial, but when we were younger, we used to look up at the plane that's passing the sky and say, "Plane, plane, come for me. I want to go to," and we'd call a place, whether Disney World, whether England to visit my grandfather, whether different places, and just these simple things because we set them so much to ourselves. I believe we
Mhm.
recognize the opportunities, and when preparation meets opportunity, then we're able to be successful in whatever it is.
Wow, that's fantastic. And obviously, that sounds like you're training your mind. You're really training again, the progressive mind. It all goes down to that. And I want to kind of shift gears a little bit. We've been on the personal note for a little while. I want to talk a little bit about, the professional roles, and as even as some people might be professionals, some people might be entrepreneurs, and they may feel challenged in their job. They're starting the new year and I really hate this job, or I need a new opportunity, or they might have lost their job towards the end of the year, and feeling like they're in a rut. Some folks might also be thinking to themselves, what's next for me? I've been at this job for quite some time, and I don't feel like I'm progressing. And you look, or sometimes you look at the people who are the leaders around you, and you say to yourself, how do I get to that role when they're there and they're not really making space for that? They don't, that person not retiring, still on that person there. You feel, almost like you cannot
Yeah.
achieve more than where you're at. And I want to take it to a Caribbean perspective, because a lot of the folks who listen to this are based in the Caribbean, or of at least Caribbean descent. What would you say are some of the common challenges that Caribbean people, Caribbean entrepreneurs, and I know you have a vast knowledge because you worked with small businesses, so you understand that side of it, but also you're working on progressive minds as well. How can we really overcome, or how do people, Caribbean entrepreneurs, overcome some of those common challenges? If you could share with us some of the challenges that you've probably encountered, and probably suggest ways in which people can overcome them.
Okay, great. So across the Caribbean, then there are numerous challenges because we're even in the Caribbean. That's a challenge in terms of whether it's access, whether it's like connecting access or financial access or resource access, or even getting the right people to support us in whatever it is we're working on, whether businesses. I know one of my um, dear entrepreneurs, a good friend and relative of mine, always struggles in finding the right fit of people to be placed into the business to help the business to be more successful. So that's
Mhm.
one of the key challenges. But also, I think one of the areas that we can build on is to look at innovation because there are many challenges around us. But how can we solve problems? And what problems are persons experiencing, and what value can we add to the people who are experiencing that challenge? If as entrepreneurs in the Caribbean, even like with the progressive mind and progressism, if there's no need and everybody feel empowered and nobody want to connect and everybody have their own networks, then what's the need for this sort of value that is being created or trying to be created for others? So it's important that we look at what are the gaps in the market, not just doing something because we feel like we want to do it, but what are we really solving? What problem are we solving? And what value are we adding to the space? And like I would say again, if we're just doing something because we're copying someone else who is doing something, that is not adding value, but that's just being a copycat. I mean, in being a copycat, we can, yes, get a revenue, but that doesn't mean to say that we'll succeed in the best way we can. So if
Mhm,
we look at providing a solution to a problem that people face,
mhm,
we get passionate about it enough that we can innovate in it. Look at how can I do something different within this, even if I'm providing an event, but how can we make the event different, that it can be of value to others, even if I'm providing some solution, whether it's bakery goods or whether it's support like educational support to children, whether it's a product or service in whichever Caribbean country it is, we can see that businesses can be more successful if we look at solving a problem, but also innovating, and also not just doing it by ourselves, because we don't have all the answers.
mhm,
We never have all the answers, but how can we do the next best thing? That next best thing may not be an answer I can give you right now on the program, but you
mhm,
can add your experience. Any entrepreneur who is looking at this right now, any professional who's looking at this right now, what's the next best thing we can do? As a professional, the next best thing could also be, how can I sharpen my skills and my knowledge so that I can put myself out there? A challenge that I've faced is in the Caribbean, because we're a place of Latin America, the persons who can speak Spanish and English have a lot of opportunities. But if we speak only English, we lack significant, like we'll be putting ourselves behind. We're actually regressing because there are more and more people who will be getting access to the opportunities and less of us. If we're looking at expanding and not just staying in Dominica or Antigua, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, Grenada, St. Kitts and Nevis, like if we just want to stay in these countries, we focus on what we do right now. But if we want to expand our businesses, our professional opportunities to the region, because it is a competition in the region. Let's look at studying or learning Spanish. Let's
mhm,
look at getting an additional skill. Let's look at, like I looked at this, I read this article from Forbes, what the professionals need in 2025 to get ahead. Knowing how to use AI, not just right now knowing how to use Canva and the basic social media, but how to use AI to set ourselves apart. AI, some persons may say, what is AI? Artificial intelligence. How can we learn about what is ChatGPT? How can we leverage ChatGPT to make sure that we can produce the best output? Because companies now are using AI in order to take away jobs, to make things easier, to deal with less people. But how can we set ourselves apart? So, in whatever field it is, whether it's an entrepreneur, whether it's a professional, it's like, what's the next best thing I can do? How can I set myself apart? How can I innovate in my life? How can I innovate in the solutions that I bring? And if what I'm bringing, the market doesn't need it as a professional, or the market doesn't need it as an entrepreneur, then I'm wasting time. I need to pivot. So that's my encouragement to entrepreneurs, to professionals, because this is applicable to anyone across the different boards. Make ourselves marketable and to use the opportunities that are available.
Wow, that's wonderful. I just want to go to the chat to see some folks are commenting. So Regina said, yes, you are right. Locus of control, how we as individuals can control events in our lives. It's part of our personality. Ruthie saying good evening to two of us. Affirmations are great ways to help persons to have positive outlook on life. Anything that you do, anything that you do, and to stay centered. Sandra is saying, I like that. So folks are commenting and really enjoying the discussion thus far. I wanna go pivot into the event. So this year you are actually this is your fourth year
Yes.
of doing this event, and Progressism 2020 2025 is the theme is going for gold, the mindset of champions. Why did you choose this theme, and what does it really mean to you?
Well, Dominica is in a stage where we're excited about gold. We got our first Olympic gold medalist. We what well, we're being recognized in many different ways, and I believe having a theme that's relevant to people where we are at that time can help motivate us even more. I believe that there are areas surrounding the theme that we can focus on, we can think about, because it's not just saying, you know what, some people did it and this is only for some people. It's only for a special set that can be successful. But we all can reach goal in different aspects of our lives. We may not be running a race, we may not be jumping, we may not be an entrepreneur, we may not be somebody else, but we are ourselves, and everyone in themselves can aim for gold in whatever we're doing. That means having quality, that means putting out quality, that means not just stuff for other people, but for ourselves. How do I ensure that I'm my healthier self? How do I ensure that I make the right decisions? How do I ensure that my future is one that I am really aiming towards and I want to be a part of my life? Not just taking life as it is and breezing through and we go through Viking vibes. Like, really, how can we be? How can you be golden jail, the best version of jail, and
Mhm.
everyone else, Sandra and Ruth and the other people who are listening? How can you be your best self? So that's it.
How do you define a champion mindset, and why is that even important, in today's world? Like, somebody might say, there are leaders and there are followers that somebody has to follow, right? We all should we all be champions, or should we all, like, why is that important even,
So all the races that, I mean, there are different races that we run, right?
Mhm.
And the main race we are running is not against other people, but it's against our past. It's against things that we've struggles that we've had, and how we can be that better person. So in order for us to overcome the hurdles and not continue to make the same mistakes, I am learning to I am going through a process of trying not to make the same mistakes that I've made in my past up to
Mhm.
today, trying to make better choices daily. But
Mhm.
it starts in the mind. It starts in the mind. And it's not a life that we're living for someone else. If we are cheating ourselves and we are not doing the things we're supposed to do to make ourselves better, whether spiritually, physically, emotionally, financially, all the different ways that we could think about, we know that we are cheating ourselves. So it's how can we develop that mindset so that we can really overcome these challenges, not repeat the same mistakes, because it said that if we keep making the same mistakes, God will keep giving us the same test. Do we want to go through the same hurdles and the same test all the time?
I
No.
never heard it that way. That if you keep making the same mistakes, you'll keep getting the same test. And but it's true.
Yep.
It's true because you have not completed the test,
Not
so
yet.
you're gonna get it over and over again.
That's right.
Wow, wow. Some people also say, how can you expect a different results if you keep doing the same thing?
Yeah.
If you
That's
keep
insanity, right? So,
right. Yeah. Oh, wow. Uh, in terms of, your theme, and why, how you've kind of conceptualized for this year, I know you have some notable speakers, like you have, like, gold winner Thea Lafon Gatson, you have Brandon Williams, you have Rihanna Patterson, among others. And I want us we can go through them, and why you chose each of them, and I'll leave that up to you as to how much you want to divulge, because obviously we want people to come to the event, which is happening this coming Sunday. So we'll talk about a little bit about that. But how did you go about selecting these individuals, and what are some of the unique perspectives that they bring?
great. That's a really great question, and I'm delighted to answer. So, in thinking about the theme going for gold, the mindset of champions, um, the ultimate person, one of the ultimate persons that I wanted to be there was Thea. And I'm really delighted and thankful to Thea for accepting. So we look forward to Thea engaging with our attendees virtually, of course. She's not able to come to Dominica physically, but of course we are innovators and we can connect with people just like how we are right now. And we are sharing, we're learning from each other. So
Hmm.
Thea will be coming, and I believe Thea's experience, not just seeing her as an Olympic gold medalist, but even like how did she get there? How was her experience? She must have had numerous, and she had numerous challenges. She had this injury, and well, I'm not sure if to call it an injury, but she was not in her most optimal self, and
Right.
was able to affirmations. She was able to have her, I mean, that's from what I've gathered through her, from her, because I also did an interview with her. But she was able to lean on God. She was able to lean on her network. She was able to lean on her coach, and many different aspects of her life motivated her and encouraged her to become an Olympic gold medalist, Dominica's first Olympic gold medalist. That
Mhm.
means it's possible for many others. So her
Yes.
experience, we believe, can inspire not just athletes, because it's not just about athletes, but every single individual can pull on something from a lesson from her life to make their life better. We also have Power Talks. So I've always been inspired by TED Talks, but for progressism, we have what we call Power Talks, and we started this last year. So in the third edition, we started the Power Talks, and it's something that we'll continue with. Power Talks are short, inspirational, motivational talks that can help to encourage us to change our trajectory on some aspect of our lives. And we're looking at three key topics. One is like unlocking peak performance, the art of a winning mindset. I mean, who wouldn't want to unlock peak performance in whatever area it is? And we have Brendan Williams, who will be speaking to this. He's the president of the Dominica Athletics Association. He's a former athlete. I mean, once we think of sports and Olympics and Commonwealth Games, we think of Brendan. Like, he's a person who comes to mind. And he
Mhm.
recently completed his degree, and he's enhancing himself to even be of better value internationally. So tapping into a mindset like this to help inspire us was, I mean, this was very important. Now, it's not just about the athletics part of it, but for many different aspects. And looking at people within the Dominican community who've excelled in specific areas, it's important to see how can we learn from people. Because it's not just copying what people do or criticizing or saying, that's that person, but how can we pull from the lessons that that person has learned to use in their life to take them to where they are. And secondly, we have Rihanna Patterson. Rihanna is the founder of the Dominica Dementia Foundation, and she's a personal development coach. She's also created a documentary, and I mean that is inspirational to even advocate on so many levels. She's been awarded by the Queen, I believe, or the King, like
King.
the King. You said?
She was a young, I believe she was a young ambassador under the Queen's when the
Yeah.
Queen was there, but I think believe she's also met the King.
Yeah. So even like Rihanna pushing herself through many different layers to even like recently completing a master's and having this documentary to document an experience in Dominica that's played across different parts of the world.
Yeah, and
Take
she worked for the UN too.
Yeah, she recently had an internship there. So even her topic is from ideas to impact, turning vision into action. I mean, that looked at the documentary part of things, but also her experience, and she'll get to inspire our attendees. She's also been a TEDx speaker, so she understands how to speak and convey these ideas. So she was like a really good fit in terms of being a power talk presenter to inspire our attendees. And our last speaker as a power talk presenter is Melinda Francois. And Melinda is passionate about helping to break generational trauma and help to persons to build wealth. So this was a natural fit because for progressism, it's not just looking at, like I said, the sports part of it or the thinking of it in a sports mind, but also
Mhm.
in our lives. How can we be champions and leapfrog? So her topic is breaking generational traumas to leapfrog into the future, and that looks at the financial aspects of things. That looks at all the challenges, maybe her experience, things that she's had to overcome, and how she's positioned herself to be more successful in this regard. And she also Melinda does a number of different things, and I think her experience can be inspirational or inspiring to our attendees. So if you're listening, whoever is listening, I mean, after you've heard of, I mean, Thea, these three Power Talk speakers, that in itself, I believe is inspiring, but also this is not the end of it. We have a panel discussion of mixed persons. So we have Shadi Samuel. Shadi was the owner of Quick Delivery, but now the owner of Filter Aesthetics by Filter at Filter Aesthetics. And Shade is a, I would say, a brilliant mind, someone who's trying to solve problems that she sees, and
Mhm.
someone who is innovating in different aspects of whatever she's doing. I mean, she's bringing a product that I think is continuing to be innovated, like she's innovating on that product to make, to create solutions to others, and not just bringing a product, but how she collaborates with others, how she is being mentored, and how she's mentoring others in order to create value. That is exceptional. We also have Liam Sebastian, who is the manager of the Windward Island cricket team. I mean, when you listen to DBS radio and you listen to the sports part of the newscast, you hear Liam Sebastian, and he's someone who's had experience. He's been a cricketer and he's now the manager of this team. So his experience can be inspirational. But
Mhm.
also, we have Carlton Lando, who is a registered pharmacist, a public health educator, who is a champion in his own right, who's led the company that he works with, Jolly's Pharmacy, to be one who's received a number of awards in the pharmaceutical industry. So
Mhm.
these individuals, and it's not just looking at it from one aspect, but we see we have entrepreneurs, we have professionals, we have managers, we have different individuals. And I believe that if we are looking for positivity, we will find it. If we look for negativity and we want to criticize like we can every day in Dominica, there are numerous things that we can complain about. But if
Mhm.
we want to be better, do better, inspire others, develop our network, connect with others. And even though we've met someone before, Jael, we've met each other before, but your experience and your life, there's so much that I'm being inspired about and can continue to be inspired about if we have conversations that are around these areas, right? So, what does
Mhm.
someone say? You know what? This person is my Borgia. I know that person already, but have you really taken time to understand some key lessons and apply them to our lives? Now,
Mhm.
these are just the persons who are speaking at Progressism, but we also have, of course, our platinum sponsor, which is National Bank of Dominica, who will also be doing a presentation, which will be inspiring to attendees. And I must say, National Bank of Dominica Limited, they will be present and they will be giving a presentation that, of course, our attendees will want to hear. And it's not just about the speaking part of it, but the networking. We have a signature activity called Clocking for Progress, where all attendees can get to meet all attendees. We're giving more time for that this year, where we'll have more time to engage. But we also have Champion Moves, which is something we've innovated for this year. It's a competition. It is a competition. We want everyone to come, pumped to compete to get the best possible prizes. So whether someone competes as themselves or as a team, it's not just coming and sit down and listen to persons talk, but it's networking, it's connecting, it's competing. And in competing, we get to learn about ourselves. We get to learn tactics. How can I do better in this? What can I implement? What can I learn from what Brendan said to unlock peak performance that can make me successful in this game so that I can walk away with the biggest, best prize that comes at progressism. You know, it's really important that we also highlight the attendees who are present. So the attendees who are present will be highlighted in different ways where people get to know more about them. So it's not just walking away and you say, I come to an event and I leave. I come as like my primary school principal would say, if you come as a green fig, you have to leave like a ripe banana. You cannot come like a green fig and leave like a green fig. We come like a green fig and leave like a ripe banana. So everyone who comes to progressism, we hope that they leave like ripe bananas with the flavor, with the aroma, with the encouragement that even this year, no matter how many challenges come, like last year when we did progressism, I never knew that Orville, Elias, for
Oh
those
my
of you,
God.
I mean, I speaking about progressism, Elias is dear to me, Orville is dear to me. And we never knew that he would not have made it through the end of 2024. But he's been extremely inspirational. Orville by
To a
himself,
lot of people, to a lot of
to
people.
a lot of people. He
Mhm.
spoke about a lot of different things. And last year, it was like a no-brainer for him to be part of progressism, where he got to share so much like nuggets and valuable information that can remain with us forever. It's whatever we take from every interaction and experience we have. So I'm not saying that anything is happening to anybody, but this year we have no idea what challenges are coming our way. But how we
That's
prepare for them, what we put in our mind will help us to make it through whatever challenges there are.
right.
Like
And find solutions.
and find solutions. And like
Hmm.
we say, whatever foundation we create in leaning on God, in putting Him first, and in whatever aspect of our life, whatever foundation we create, that will help us to move through when it's shaken, when our foundation is shaken, when everything that we believe in is like it feels like it's crumbling down. It is what we place in our foundation that counts.
Wow, beautiful. And well said, Lizra. This event is happening this Sunday, so tell us a little bit about where it's happening, why, how we can get there, how where we need to go. I know you guys have a Facebook page, so what I'll do is I'll tag some of the information so you could share it on there. We can pin it to the lives for folks who might want to attend or who still considering or reconsidering or thinking about it or probably hoping that somebody can bless their heart and pay for them to go to attend, because I mean,
Yes.
if you manifest it hard enough it might happen,
Good night.
so share with us a little bit about what is set to unfold in terms of in the next couple of days. Like what can we expect? Where should we get our tickets? How I mean, people might have questions about transportation. I know there might be a whole bit of questions, but hopefully you can provide us some insights and we can pull from some. And folks, if you have questions, I want to also encourage you to share your questions. I see folks coming on. Richard Sirius is saying, "This is my sister. I'm proud of you." Shoma John is saying, "Great vibes." Ingrid is watching. She says, "I'm watching." Good evening to everyone. Elizabeth Fabian, great talk. Kimara Riff, great advice. Lizra, wish I could have been there to support this time around. Shara is saying, "Brilliant with the flames." Yes, so back to you, Lizra. Tell us when this event is happening and time, location, all the deets that we need to know in order
Great.
to be at this year's Progressism 2025.
I must say thank you to everyone who's tuning and everyone who's listening and for all the encouragement that we've received. Progressism takes place for the fourth time at Intercontinental in Tatan. I hope I'm saying the correct actual location, but we know former,
Cabrit.
former Kempinski. After you, instead of going to Cabrit, you take the right and it's the hotel on the left side. So Intercontinental Dominica, Cabrit's Resort and Spa. It takes place from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Some may say 6 hours. What I'm doing there for 6 long hours is going to be an experience, right? I didn't mention a couple things, but there's photo sessions. Everyone who comes gets a proper professional photo that they can use as part of their personal brand. There's buffet lunch access. I mean, persons can decide they're going to Intercontinental and pay for their lunch, their buffet lunch themselves and just have their own time. But this is included as value in part of it. We're not just giving you a sandwich and cake and some juice and that's it. You get buffet lunch, which is valuable in and of itself. The events, like we mentioned, includes the number of speakers, the networking, the encouragement, the challenges that's there, and giveaways and many different aspects of the event. But also, one may wonder, how can I register? The link is on our Facebook and Instagram pages, and like we mentioned, we'll put it in the live here so that you have ease of access. But
Mhm.
with every event, it's not just one where we could walk in and just decide the morning that we are coming to the event. We must provide details to the venue in order that they have enough adequate preparation. So we've been given some extra time so that by Wednesday, we have to have all our numbers in check, all our numbers in check for progressism. So if anyone is thinking
That's
of
for
coming to the
days.
event, that's 2 days. You can
Mhm.
decide that, I mean, register, indicate that you're coming. That's really important for us to know that you're coming in. In terms of payment, some ask what about a payment plan? Well, we have to look at this on a case by case basis, if necessary. But we invite you to reach out to your network, reach out to someone who wants to invest in you. but also if you can invest in yourself, that is important in whatever we are doing. Things don't just come easy and everything just fall into our lap, but sometimes maybe instead, and I'm not going to quote like some, and to be careful in what I say, that we invest in ourselves, and I think I would leave it as that, so that I don't end up in other issues and saying,
Any twaka. We don't want you ending up in any twaka.
yes, but if someone who is unable to make it, but you feel inspired that you want a young person to benefit from this, you see someone in your network who can really benefit from such an experience, invest in them. I remember Ricketts, he said, you know, Lizra, this is important that all young people should be part of it, and that people should invest in all young people, that they become a part, they are part of the event. Maybe even high schoolers, maybe even persons who go into state college. This is important for them to, in order to develop their mindset to be better placed in our society and in the wider world. So if you can't make it, if you can invest in yourself, but also invest in others, that is also important. Some may wonder about transportation. Most persons would come on their own, but some persons are open to carpooling. So
Mhm.
that's something that has happened over the past years. That someone say, you know what, I have space for two more, or a space for someone else that could join with me, and then of course, in getting to whatever event it is, if persons have to go to Rosa for an event or wherever it is, we also make, I mean, persons make that possible by figuring out how they can. But if someone have a challenge, a real challenge, and they want some information and like, you know, who can I couple with, feel free to reach out, and we'll do our best to connect you with someone who you could couple with, and make it to Intercontinental. So
Okay.
two
I
more.
was actually just
Mhm.
just trying to like get the link so I could share it. The original link on the top of the page is the one that works. The other one is saying not found. So you just want to probably update that, Israel, just for folks who want to know. But
That's great.
I'm
Hmm.
going to share the Bitly link that I found on your Facebook page, and I'm tagging it and pinning it to this discussion. It is a Google form, and anything else, I guess.
So not Google Form, it's the event create for 2005.
So that one is not opening. It's saying not found. 404. It's giving an error, which is
So
why.
I will copy and send it to you. So it's
Yes,
event,
yes. I can
event create
always
for
change
not for 2004, but for, sorry, not for 2024, but for 2025.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So just share that with me, and I can pin that to the conversation so that folks can have access to that. You yourself can also go on there. It sounds, I mean, somebody saying this is a life improvement experience. You cannot afford to miss it. That's Heidi Shaw, who's saying that. I want to encourage folks, to register. You only have 2 days left because numbers have to be signed, sealed, and delivered by Wednesday. And some of you might want to do step out on faith, and like Lizra say, reach out to your network, and say, hey, I'd like to attend, this, and would you be willing to assist me if that is the case? Reach out to friends and family, especially people, because I always say sometimes we have friends and family that close to us that we should not even be close to, because they're not really there for our progress. They're just there when it's a bear fun, when it's a story, but not when things get tough and rough, and when we need to actually move up. And you got to keep the right people around you. You got, if you cannot reach out to somebody in your network that you're close enough to that can assist you with this, something is wrong. Something is wrong with the people that you have in your network, right? And you may just need to have a new network or start a new network, and that might be just the event for you to start off a new network, of whether it is like-minded people like yourself, or folks who are just on a path of success, and you want to succeed, and you want to win, and you want to know what is the blueprint to
Yep.
win it. What can I do? What do I need to do? How could I fix myself? How do I make myself better in order to receive all of these things? How do I prepare myself for opportunities? Because like you rightfully say, sometimes we complain, every time it's that person, they're just bringing people from outside, and they're not I'm taking from within. But are you prepared? Have you prepared yourself for that position, for that come up, for that opportunity to come up.
Mhm.
I know, like, sometimes, organizations like UE, they do their short empowerment courses, they do all of these things. And I always encourage folks to go ahead and take advantage of those courses, because there may be things in there that will help you to put on your CV for your next promotion, whether it's internally or externally. Just saying that, hey, I did this, and get going to an event like this. Not just It's not just a networking event, but you can also be meet mentors and sponsors for
Mhm.
probably ventures that you might want to pursue in the near future, or just having somebody that you can call up and say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, and what are your thoughts, what's your advice,
That's right.
what do you
Mhm.
think that would work for me? My thing is coming down. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, but it's here, it's getting the message. So Lizra, give us tell us where the Facebook page. Let us know. I'm gonna leave the screen for you, so let us know where we can actually check out the event.
Great. So for everyone who's tuned in, it's Facebook. You could go to Facebook and search the Progressive Mind on Facebook as well as on Instagram. So the Progressive Mind, it's one of our recent posts. You would be able to see the link there. Of course, you would see beautiful Jael and the recent, well, the poster as well as this live. But right after this, you would be able to see the latest link on how you could register to be a part of the event. It's on eventcrate.com. You could click on it. As you go through the page, you would get more details about the event. You'd be able to see who the speakers are, what the topics are, what the value is going to be like. Our sponsors, of course, we have three sponsors for this year. We have National Bank of Dominica Limited, Nature Blends, as well as Intercontinental Dominica Cabrits Resort and Spa. So we thank them for making this possible so that we could bring this to you. And we encourage you to go, whether on Facebook or Instagram, follow our page, like the page, so that you could see the highlights, the preparation. We'll be sharing some highlights after, and you don't want to miss it. But in case you miss it, you will find some of the highlights after the event.
Yes.
We have 2 more days to go, 2 more days to register your interest. And we have a number of persons thus far, and you'd be able to also see who's attending the event. So those who've already registered, I'm putting you out there. But when persons register for the event on the website, the event website, you could see who's coming to the event. So get to know beforehand who you have the opportunity of meeting. Of course, some of the names will not be there right now because they are on the different categories of attendance, but look forward to a very inspirational, a very connected event that will motivate you to be a better person, to be a champion in your own life, to be a champion in your environment, and to help make this world a better place. Not just for, just for personal living, but for making this society a much better place.
I have pinned the event, so even in the debacle, my thing going down, I've pinned the event, so you can
Yeah.
definitely access the event right from this. I'll also put it in once the live is has ended. I'll put it in the description at the top, so folks can register directly from there. If they so choose to do, I wanna open up to see if there's anybody has any questions, anything before we wrap up. If you have any questions, anything that you'd like to know, anything that you probably want to know, if you're to expect, what to expect. So Andy saying the link is working. Okay, thank you very much, Andy. The link is working. I also pinned the Progressive Mind on Facebook, so it's also in this chat pinned, so you can have access to it from this. So if you have any questions on the event, now is your opportunity to ask questions. And even if your answers don't get answered right now, I know Lisa will probably come back on here during the next couple of days, because if people comment underneath, because the Progressive Mind was underneath it, you will get the notifications to let you know that folks are interacting.
Yes.
I want to encourage you guys also to follow the Progressive Mind page, because like she said, you might get snippets. If you're not there, you might get nuggets. I saw Elias is on there, from last year, nuggets from what he spoke about, on the Facebook page, so you can access that on there. The somebody's actually messaging me and asking me what is the price. Go on the site, click on the link, you'll see the price in there. I don't know if Lisa wants to expand on the price, but I
So,
feel like you need to do the research for yourself. Go on the site. I purposely don't know the price, so I can't answer you. Go on the site, click on it, so you can find out more about the event, and this and make the determination then, that it's something that you'd like to invest in yourself. It's the start of the year. It is the second weekend in January, and it's just a great way to move forward, moving, to be empowered, to be inspired. I saw the snippets of it. I've Last year was the first time I was actually in Dominica when it was happening, and this year, this year I'm also in Dominica, but last year I didn't realize it was happening, and after it was done I was like, "Wow, I didn't know about this, how comes I didn't know that this was going on?" So this year, this is an event that I want to encourage folks to attend, and show your support, but not just support. Go for your damn self. Go for yourself. It's about self development. It's about getting the right mindset. It's being solutions driven instead of being a complainer all the time. One of the things I always say to people, let me tell you, I'm very quick to criticize. I'm one of those. I'm very quick to criticize, but I try my utmost best with every critic to offer a solution. Offer ideas for solutions and stuff. We have to be more in that mindset and less of, okay, so you tell me I'm fat, what should I do? Do you know if I have a health condition? Do you know what's going on? Be more in the mindset of how can we help this person, possibly with
region oriented.
identify, right?
That's
Yeah.
right. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I wanna open up the floor to folks if you have any questions. If you don't, I do have some more questions. Dan's Garden Guest House is saying, "Big up to you, Lizra. Very nice program. Enjoying what you're presenting here this evening." And I want to end before we end, because I want to give you the floor, to do a final wrap up. But what is next for the Progressive Mind, even after the event? What happens next?
Okay, that's a very important and interesting question, because, like I say, always looking at how can we innovate, how can we do something different. So the vision for this is that ultimately this becomes a global event. But for next year, and like you asked, like, what time it's being held, every January, and we're looking at the second weekend of January, because the first weekend persons want to spend with their families, they want to do their own personal thing, but every year we're looking at the second weekend so that it doesn't compete with New Year's weekend, so that we can connect people. Next year we're looking at regional. We want to get regional speakers. We want persons to come to Dominica from across the region. So they'll be in Dominica for Progressism. That's Progressism 2026. It will be the fifth episode or the fifth edition of this. So everyone who say that, what, I wish I could be in Dominica for this, get your tickets ready. The second weekend of January 2026. It's a regional event, and we want to make it big and grand. But also during this year, there are a number of other persons who we wanted to engage with, to speak with, who would be very inspirational to our attendees and our network. We plan to have a number of other sub events. I know we've spoken about at previous events possibly doing this, and we were not able to bring it up. But this year, we have the interest, we have the people, high profile, I believe high profile Dominicans, even in the business community, who've committed to supporting us in the progressive mind through progressism, to motivate, to inspire, to connect with our attendees. So you can look out for at least two events, two sub events happening this year that will connect persons to these amazing minds. But we'll also be collaborating with Creativity in Motion. That's Kevin's company. So Kevin and I, we've always been collaborating in one way or another, when we share office space for a number of years. So Kevin and I will be bringing value to you in different ways, so you can stay tuned for this. But also, ultimately, we really want to take progressism to different parts of the world. So whether, I'm not sure which country it's going to be yet, but doing visits to different countries where we can connect with the minds there, whether it's in Africa, whether it's in the Caribbean, whether it's in Latin America, but we're taking progressism out of Dominica to different parts of the world. That's one of the aims, that's one of the vision, to continue to inspire people, and not just to connect with us within our country, Dominica, but to connect with others across the region, across the world, to have experiences that are amazing. I mean, there's so much in the world to see, to do, to experience. We really want our community to be blessed in this way.
Wow, that's wonderful. Lezra, we don't seem to have any questions. People seem to have gotten a wholesome experience. And I thank you for sharing all of the information. I want to leave you with the final word. If there's anything that you probably missed or you just want to wrap up, you want to give, a culmination of everything, that you said, here this evening. Of course, we know that just reminding folks, if you're just coming on, we've pinned the event to the actual broadcast, so you can go on and you can find out more after the show. If you have any questions, the Progressive Mind is also tagged in there. You can always ask your questions there. You can always go on over to Facebook and follow and ask questions if you have any additional questions, and interact with the page. If you're probably somebody outside of Dominica and you want to sponsor the event, that is something that, yes, it's, you might say it's just 1 week left, but it's an opportunity for you to tap into the minds and into the hearts of entrepreneurs and professionals in Dominica and assist Lizro on this venture, on this road. I mean, it's not cheap to put on an event. It takes a lot of work. I know firsthand from my own experience. But you might be outside of Dominica or even within Dominica and you want to show your support, or you probably say, you know what, I can't really sponsor, my money not that long, but I want to pay for one person to come. She might have had people who've reached out who could not afford, they probably don't have people in their networks, that could afford as well. And they may be willing to, you might be willing to sponsor that individual to the event. Reach out to Lizra, reach out to the Progressive Mind and let them know that you'd be interested in sponsoring 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 people, who knows, right? To attend the event. Lizra, I'll leave you with the final words.
Thank you so much, Jael. Thank you very much for having me on your program this evening. I'm delighted that persons get to listen now live and those who will listen after. So, interesting fact, last year we had Anthony Edwards as of Shop DM. Those of you who don't know Shop DM, it's like the Amazon of Dominica. And that's a pitch for Shop DM. And after last year, I was like, Tony, is there any way that we could get people to pay from anywhere in the world? He's like, he's working on it. Do you know what Tony did this year? He created PayDM. PayDM is part of ShopDM, which means that anyone can pay using the credit card, the debit card from anywhere in the world. So thank you, Jael, for the pitch that if there's anyone who wants to sponsor someone in Dominica, you want to contribute to the event, you want to sponsor the event, maybe you want to sponsor and receive a specific highlight, you want us to feature you, or we could discuss how it's possible because there are sponsorship levels. But we encourage anyone, everyone who wants to contribute financially. You want to encourage someone else to attend, please share this across your network. Someone asked about the price earlier. It's 215 EC dollars. That's less than 100 US dollars. That's, I mean, this is extreme value that persons are receiving. They'll receive the professional photo shot so that they could enhance their personal brand. One will receive the content of the event and the networking and connection with others, the inspirational talks, the ability to engage with others and develop our personal selves as well as our mindset. Also, with the buffet lunch at Intercontinental, we know that it's not cheap to have buffet lunch at Intercontinental, so that in itself is extreme value. And there'll be a number of giveaways and prizes to be won through the competition and through different aspects of the event. Of course, like I mentioned before, we have 3 sponsors. Of course, if any other company wants to come on and sponsor, we do welcome you at this stage. It's not too late to be a sponsor of Progressism. We have the National Bank of Dominica Limited. We have Nature Blends and Intercontinental Dominica Cabrits Resort and Spa. So we also encourage all professionals, all entrepreneurs, whether you are 60 years of age, whether you are 18 years and you just entering into the working world and you want to set yourself apart, And now is the time to set your mind apart and strengthen your mind so that you can navigate the field, the professional field or the entrepreneurship field, in a much more successful way. We remain, of course, humble to provide value to our attendees. And if there's other ways that we can improve in the progressive mind and progressism to continue to bring an event and value and solutions to our community, please feel free to share with us. We're not big headed and think that we know it all. We are open to learning, to growing with our community. So, everyone, please follow us on Facebook and Instagram, like our page, communicate with us. If you have any questions, we will be ready to respond to you as early as we can. And we look forward to an awesome time. We wish everyone a delightful 2025. And if for some chance you can't make it to Progressism, we look forward to you connecting with us in some other way in the future. But we do wish you the very best, a strong mindset as you continue to chart your path through for a better life for yourself and for your community.
Lizra, it was a pleasure having you on. I feel like that's a great way to start off the year. And you talk about empowering and inspiring and all of these things. I mean, my original first show was going to be on mental health. So I love the fact that you came in and you gave this aspect of it, and now we can roll into the mental health because it kind of just sets the stage
Yeah.
for taking care of your mind now that you've
Mhm.
given all of these gems, all of these things that we can do, all of these things, everything that we can expect from the event, and then also thinking about your mind. So I truly appreciate you coming on and sharing with us, sharing with the audience, sharing with my audience, on why it's so important to where you need to be this coming Sunday,
Yeah.
why it's so important to be in Portsmouth at the Intercontinental Resort, Cupboards Resort and Spa for Progressism 2015. Thank you again, Lizra, to you and to every
2025.
2025. Mon Dieu, let me listen. 2025, 2025. The year just started. I still write in 2024. Today I wrote on a check 2024. I had to cross it out and correct it and put 2025. It is
Yeah.
2025 and we're going big or we're going home, right?
Yes, we're going big.
Yes. Thanks again, Lezra. Thanks for
Thank you,
joining us.
Jael. Good night, everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
All right, guys. Thank you very much to Liza Fabien for stopping by and sharing with us on her event that's coming up pretty soon. That is this coming Sunday. You have a few days to register and get into it. Get into that event. Going for gold, the mindset of champions is the theme, and it's happening this coming Sunday at in Portsmouth at Intercontinental Resort, Cupboards Resort and Spa. I'm almost always tempted to say Kempinski. I want to also say thank you very much to every single one of you who tuned in. I saw quite a few people shared the live. So thank you very much to those of you who shared. I want to encourage you. If you're just coming on now, please share the live so somebody else can get in on the action. They can know what's going on. And even if it's just for the information and, just being encouraged and being empowered to be better individuals in 2025. I want to say thank you very much to all of you who tuned in via Facebook, via YouTube, as well as LinkedIn. And I'm excited to see, how many of you would show up on Sunday at the amazing event that Liz has put together with so many wonderful guests or guest speakers who will be inspiring you, who will be motivating you, who'll be giving you some power talks. Yes, so you coming out feeling like ready for gold in 2025. Thanks again to Lizra for joining us again. And I'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow we got another show for you. Our health series begins in January with Dr. Nadia Wallace, who is a psychiatrist in Dominica. We're going to be talking about the mind. We're going to be talking about the mind. I'm so excited to have this conversation with her. I think this is a very important conversation to have at the start of the year, when you're wondering, how do I take care of my mental health? How do I do this? We have so many questions. One of the questions, one of the biggest questions we have is, how can I balance my role and my responsibilities without neglecting my mental health, especially as Caribbean women, when we have so many different things we're navigating. Motherhood, some of us are navigating employment, being professionals, being leaders, being providers. How do we stay livid? How do we stay straight? How do we stay good? How we end how we ended 2024 doesn't need to be how we end 2025. So Dr. Nadia will be joining me tomorrow at 7 p.m. East, that is Atlantic Standard Time. I want to encourage you, if you're able to join, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks again for tuning in, and have yourself a great evening. All right, guys, we'll see you soon.